the Nigerian government has told the Supreme Court that the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, will flee from the country and evade justice if the judgment of the Court of Appeal is upheld. So because of that, we are not going to release him. You are not going to release him. So it is good for you to disobey the court order. When he has been discharged and acquitted, what do you still want to do with him? The government's claim was contained in its appeal, with even grounds filed against the October 13th Court of Appeal judgment, which favors Kanu. The appeal court held that the IPOB leader's rendition from Kenya in June 2021 by the Nigerian government was illegal and that the Federal High Court lacks jurisdiction to try Kanu, hence he was discharged and acquitted. In a notice of appeal dated October 18, 2022, the government asked the Supreme Court to set aside the judgments of the appeal court and restore the charges against the separatist leader. According to the notice quoted by the Punch, the government is also seeking a stay of execution of the judgment of the court presided over by Justice Jumai Sankey, pending the hearing and final determination of its appeal. It noted that the IPOB leader posed a flight risk. Lovemo Odubo of the Department of Public Prosecutions, Federal Ministry of Justice, in an affidavit deposed that Nnamdi Kanu has a history of jumping bail and therefore it may be difficult to hold him down in Nigeria in the appellate court ruling is upheld, especially with the fact that he possesses dual citizenship as a Nigerian and a Briton. Like seriously, you people are see on this his dual citizenship. The affidavit reads that the respondent is a flight risk person given his previous antecedents of jumping bail while standing trial. The respondent is a dual citizen of both Nigeria and Britain, which will make it easy for him to move out of Nigeria and escape justice. That the respondent's presence will be difficult to secure should the judgment of the court below is not overturned and set aside by the Supreme Court. Hey, you see how Malami is disgracing Nigeria? So because of, I don't understand. Well, there's a need to stay the execution of the judgments of this honorable court to avoid a situation where the judgments of the Supreme Court will be overreached and rendered nugatory. Further, in its appeal, the government argued that the appeal court erred in law when it held that the trial court had no jurisdiction to try Kanu because of the extraordinary rendition of the respondents. There was no evidence led by the respondents before the court of the first instance and indeed before the court below to show how he was allegedly abducted and rendered to Nigeria as required by Section 139 of the Evidence Act 2011, since he alleged that he was abducted without following due process of law. Also, the appellant contended that the appellate court erred when it held that the executive arm must not be allowed to benefit from the abduction of the respondent. It noted that in fact and by its judgment, the respondent Kanu was allowed to benefit from his illegality of disobeying the orders of the court when he jumped bail and was rewarded with a discharge from the charges pending against him at the trial court, thereby occasioning a miscarriage of justice against the state and the victims of the crimes perpetrated by the respondents. He told the Apex Court that the Court of Appeal was wrong by ruling that how Kanu was renditioned from Kenya can vitiate and indeed weaken the criminal charges of treason, treasonable felony and terrorism brought against him, adding that the lower court made that decision without taking into account the fact that the nature of the entry of the respondent is not relevant in the determination of the charges against him. The government also argued that the appellate court justice fails to be bound by established judicial precedents on the mode of entry of a defendant charged with the commission of an offense established by the Supreme Court. The appellate insisted that the Courts of Appeal misdirected itself when it relied heavily on the Organization of African Union's conventions on the prevention and combating of terrorism, the African Commission on Human Rights, People's Rights and Cases decided from foreign jurisdiction as against the substantive law covering the criminal procedure in Nigeria. Haha. Okay. They are talking about terrorism, and we know the people who are terrorists in this country. We have not seen, it's only Nnamdi Kanu that is being tried with terrorism. The Boko Haram, we have not seen any of them. The only thing you will hear is that they have repented or they said they killed some people. That is what you hear. George Bello is still moving around. They've not even arrested him to take him to court. If you are talking of terrorism, it is Nnamdi Kanu that you are talking about. Huh. Okay, so in a nutshell, what they are trying to tell us now is that Nnamdi Kanu will jump bail. So that is why they don't want to obey the court order. Can you imagine such statement? Can you just imagine such statements? What is wrong with these people? Wow. Now, so what now happens? He has to be left in DSS custody forever, or is that what? I don't understand the whole thing. You did not present a good case or your case very well, so that the appeal court would have even seen something to hang on him, yet you see prolonging this whole issue. Is that the reason why court order shouldn't be obeyed? Obey court order and you can bring him back legally. But for now, federal government should apologize to Nnamdi Kanu and let him go. It usually happens when bunches of uncircumcised illiterates take over government house out of hatred they have for a personal tribe of or region. But I thank God that through Nnamdi Kanu case, the world are beginning to know that Nigeria is not but a fraud and her law are being violated by her government. I come in peace. Legality cannot stand on an illegal foundation. But the same government release Boko Haram members on daily basis. Such idiocy he has come to stay with you charlatans till he achieves his goal. You foolishly got trapped in his snare out of sheer arrogance and power drunkenness. Good reason not to release him. The best judgment the Supreme Court can give in his favor is to release him from DSS custody and put him under house arrest or restrict him from leaving Abuja until all cases against him are fully determined. For the people asking why did Igbo once leave Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu case is not one Fulani hatred for us. No bounds. Kanu is being persecuted because he's an Igbo man. Nigeria governments are just disgracing themselves. Nnamdi Kanu will defeat them again and again. I don't even think you should worry about him fleeing, because he will not. Just bother about the prison. You impostor in Asu Rock, Malami and co will be locked up. All I know is Nigeria must break up. Blame Lugard for all this. Maybe court judgment should henceforth be delivered in Hausa language for easy understanding. They know exactly what they are doing. Forget them.